So there you were, enjoying a normal life, minding your own business, and hopelessly addicted to TikTok air fryer tutorials. Then out of the blue, bam, you're hit with a shiny new Crohn's or ulcerative colitis diagnosis. The doc says, hey pal, turns out your colon actually hates you and you're gonna need some biologic therapy immunomodulator of the anti-TNF variety. That's right, folks, it's time for your Remicade, aka Infliximab Infusion. And in this video, I'll be discussing my advice for the big day, as well as what exactly goes on inside the magical infusion center. So make sure you stay tuned, smash that like button, and of course, most important information first, here are my recommendations based on my own experiences, as well as the mistakes that I made. So first on the list, make sure you have a designated driver. You will likely be given a Benadryl during the infusion, and or the side effects of the infusion itself may impair your driving to some degree, so play it safe, make sure you've got a DD. Number 2, make sure that you are hydrated, so drink plenty of water. I wouldn't recommend going overboard on the day of because you don't want to be going to the bathroom all the time. So, get in quite a bit of water the day before. In the same vein of drinking water, make sure that you eat something before you go. I went in with an empty stomach and this made me really nauseous. That was my own experience, but my recommendation to you would be to grab a bite to eat before things get started. So if the center you're going to doesn't have like blankets or pillows, you're gonna wanna bring something that's warm. So I would recommend like a loose sweatshirt or a poncho or a blanket, because the centers can lean on the colder side, and also the saline going in can also make you feel a little more chilled. So tip number 5, if you are still in a flare of any sort, make sure that you schedule for a time of day where your symptoms are the least severe. For example, my symptoms were the worst in the morning, and then after I took steroid, by the afternoon, they were doing better. So I made the mistake of scheduling in the morning, and I had a really bad time, which I actually talk about in another video, so you can check that out. And also, just to explain what's about to happen, I had lost the footage for the first half of this video, so I actually am refilming it now a few weeks later, which is why I'm about to have hair. So 3, 2, 1. Tip number 6, related to number 5, ask to be close to a bathroom, and also make sure that your machine is charged, and ask that it could be unplugged. So if there is an event where maybe you're in a flare or maybe you just got to go really bad, that you can just grab the cart and run off to the bathroom as quickly as possible. Tip number 7, if you get a headache or start to feel nauseous, talk to your nurse right away. There are some medications like Tylenol or anti-nausea that they can bring you, and there's no reason that you should sit and be in discomfort longer than you have to be, especially with a headache, because that can get pretty bad as a side effect if that's a side effect that you're gonna get. And finally, if you're anxious about the needle or the IV catheter and feel like you might pass out or get lightheaded or dizzy, talk to your nurse about this, because they're knowledgeable on what positions you should move in and what you should do to try to avoid those things. The Remicade Infusion Center. What is it? What does it want from us, and why? Luckily, my hospital has an infusion center of its own, so that's where I go and, hang out and stuff. Sometimes a center will just be like a clinic with a big room with lots of chairs, but since this one was actually in the hospital, it was more on the bougie end of things, with separate rooms and nice fancy chairs, saltine crackers, and ginger ale. This is the high life, basically. Now, the Remicade infusion itself can take anywhere from like an hour and a half to 2.5 hours, depending on how much Remicade you're getting and at what speed the Remicade is flowing through the IV into your body. So the process is straightforward enough. You sit down in a chair, get comfy. The nurse gives you a Tylenol. I've heard of people getting a steroid as well. I don't know, I didn't. They take your vitals. They take a little peep for a good vein in one of your arms, then they disinfect the area, they stick you, and then they put a patch on, that way it doesn't move around. Next, they're gonna flush your line with just like a saline solution to test the flow. A lot of times you can actually feel it like rushing into your vein, especially when it's cold, which is an interesting sensation all on its own. After that, they'll likely give you some Benadryl through the IV, which is just wow. I'll talk about that a little bit later. And the reason they give you the Benadryl and the Tylenol and the steroid is that they want to be preemptive in the case that you have an allergic reaction, so you, kind of don't. Next up, it's time for the Remicade, which comes in a little glass bottle, and then they add into a bag of saline solution, which will then be put into your blood veins through your IV. Now, the drip rate starts out incredibly slow, and the reason they do this is just to make sure that everything is going to go well and that you're not going to have any adverse reactions right away. And then every 15 minutes, the machine will beep, they'll come in, they'll check your vitals, and then they will up the rate of the infusion. And so after about an hour, you're going to be at the highest rate, and then you kind of just chill and wait things out until the bag is gone at that point. Finally, they'll take your vitals again, and then they will remove the IV. And now this is not a complaint, simply an observation, because I'm obviously a tough guy and I don't care, but I will say that some nurses are more delicate than others when it comes to removing the patch around the IV when you've got hairy guy arms. And other nurses are named Kelly, so there is that. Finally, they wrap you up and send you home. You're probably going to be pretty tired from the Benadryl and potentially a little out of it from just the Remicade in general, so no operating heavy machinery or firearms, you hooligan. All right. Well, enough about me. Unless you want to know more about me, in which case you can see videos about my ulcerative colitis journey on my channel or by clicking on my UC playlist in the description down below. Now, if you have questions, concerns, or would like to share your personal experience / story with Remicade infusions or IBD in general, leave a comment, leave a like, perform a random act of kindness for a stranger, sacrifice a lamb to r/Wall Street bets. I don't know, life be wild, folks. And my name is Austin. This is Otter Space Productions. And if you have IBD, go team. We're gonna do it. We're gonna get it. We're gonna get him. We're gonna get IBD. We're gonna take him down. And I'll see you next time.